there, fifth graders. Today in Khan Academy, you're going to be completing some review topics because we finished the end of our chapter and you're going to have an assessment next week over all the stuff that we've learned. And it's been a while since you've done a few of the things. So I just want to refresh your memory. So right now, if you want to grab your whiteboard, a marker, an eraser, if you just want to use scrap paper, that's fine. But I want to have you work through some problems, just kind of pretend we're doing whiteboards in class. So one of the first things I'm going to have you do is called equivalent fractions in Khan Academy. And when you do equivalent fractions, you'll have problems that look like this. So this is a b over 3 equals 4/12. So your job is to figure out what number would make this pair of fractions equal to one another. And remember, we create equivalent fractions by multiplying the top and bottom by the same number. So with this, I would look for either numerators that both have numbers or denominators that both have numbers. So right here, the denominator is going to be the key for me. I'm going to ask myself, what do I do to get from 3 to 12? It's either multiplication or division to get equivalent fractions. And I'm starting with a lower and going to a higher, so it's going to be multiplication. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 is 12. That means to get my top number, I have to ask myself, what times 4 equals 4? Now, if you're not sure what number times 4 equals 4, then you can work backwards and use the inverse and divide. If you want to know what times 4 is 4, then you could do 4 divided by 4 is what? 4 divided by 4 is 1. So b equals 1, and then check it out. Is 1 times 4 4? Yes. Okay, so 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. That's what this means. This means that 1/3 equals 4/12. And 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 4 is 12, so we're good. All right, let's try one more of those. 30 over 100 equals y over 10. So now in this one, I'm noticing I'm given both denominators. I'm going to ask myself, how do I get from this one to this one? I'm going from a larger to a smaller. So if I wanted to go from left to right, I would have to divide by, I'm thinking, what would I divide by? Well, I could ask myself, 10 times what is 100? And the answer is 10. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. So in order to find y, I need to do the same thing to the top number. 30 divided by 10 will give me y. 30 divided by 10, 10, 20, 30, is 3. So y would equal 3. That means that 30/100ths is equal to 3/10. And remember, if you don't want to go from left to right, you could go from right to left. That would be fine. 3 times 10 is 30. 10 times 10 is 100. But either way, 30/100ths is equal to 3/10. That's what this means. So as you're coming up with those amounts, remember multiplication and division are your friends. Okay, another thing that you're going to have to do is write mixed numbers as improper fractions and improper fractions as mixed numbers. So let's do a little review of that. And let's start with, I'll give you improper first. 27/4. So this is improper, and I want to figure out what is the mixed number for it. So I basically want to know how many 4/4 there are in 27/4. You can figure that out by counting up by 4s until you can't anymore. Or you can ask yourself, 4 times what gets me closest to 27? Because that's how many 4s I'll use. So I know that 4 times 6 is 24, and 4 times 7 is 28, so that would be too much. So I can fit 6 whole 4/4 in there. 4 times 6 is 24. Now to get from that 24 to the 27, there's 3 left over. So 6 3/4 would be our answer. In class, we had done 4/4 plus 4/4, that's 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and we said, oh, okay, so if I'm at 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, I need 3 more to make 27/4, and we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes and 3/4 left over. You can get the same thing by asking yourself, 4 times what gets me closest to 27? Let's try one more of those. 14 fifths. So 5 times what will get me closest to 14? 5, 10. Now I'm at 10, I need to get to 14. That means I have 4 left out of the 5. Or you could look at this as 5 fifths. Now I'd have 10 fifths. And I can't do another, I'd need 4 more fifths. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So 1, 2, and 4 fifths. Right now we want to do the opposite and go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So if we have 3 and 4 fifths, we said that this 3 would mean 5 fifths plus another 5 fifths plus another 5 fifths, right? 1, 2, 3 whole, so 1, 2, 3. And then we'd still have 4 fifths right here. So that would be 5, 10, 15, plus 4 is 19 fifths. The shortcut that we said we could do was, I know that if I have 3 and 4 fifths, I'm gonna have 5 fifths 3 times. So you could just multiply your denominator and your whole number to figure out how many you have with the whole, and then add the leftover numerator. And that would give you your 19 here. Your denominator will never change. So if I know that I have 3 whole and my denominator's 5, that means I'm gonna have this 5 fifths 3 times. So 5 times 3 plus the extras. Let's do one more of those. 4 and 1 fifth. 4 and 1 fifth, this means I would have 5 fifths 4 times. So I would end up adding the 5 4 times. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus we'd have that extra 1 in the 1 fifth. So my numerator would be 21, my denominator never changes. So 21 fifths. All right, the last thing you have to do is compare fractions today. It's been a while, but you've been coming up with common denominators for a while now, so it's kind of the same. I want to compare 2/3 with 9/12. I want to know greater than, less than, equal to, and I see that my denominators don't match, so I would want to make them match before I solve these out and try to figure out which one's more. And I noticed that I can do 3 times 4 to get 12. So I wouldn't multiply both of these. I would just multiply the 2/3 by 4 fourths, because I'll end up with 4 times 2 is 8/12. And now my denominators match. I didn't have to multiply both fractions. And if I have 8/12 versus 9/12, having 9 out of 12 is more than having 8 out of 12. So when you're asked to compare fractions, you want to get a common denominator, and then it's so much easier to compare. Let's try one more of those. 3/4 and 4 fifths. All right, I can't multiply 4 by anything to get 5, so for this one, I'll multiply each fraction by the opposite fraction's denominator. And here I'd have 15/20, and here I'd have 16/20. So if I have 15/20 versus 16/20, having 16 of the same size piece would be more. So when you're asked to compare fractions, step 1, get a common denominator. And step 2, compare them. It's much easier to do. Good luck.